Well, my son wanted to get a bike, but he didn't want to get a fragile bike. Like he didn't want to get a carbon bike because he wanted to have something that he could just chuck in the back of his car that was fairly durable. He's a big guy. He's 6'4". He's 100 kilos, so he wanted something that's pretty sturdy, and he didn't want to have to worry about that he could damage the bike easily. So really, that came down to the fact that he really wanted to have an aluminium bike, and but he wanted to have a 105 or Ultegra, a fairly reasonable sort of a bike. So that really cut out a lot of brands because there's not many brands that make fairly good aluminium bikes. So he started looking on Facebook Marketplace. So that really cuts it down to really Cannondale and Bianchi because they do some fairly upmarket aluminium bikes. So he started looking and he spotted this Bianchi impulso and it looked pretty good. And the guy wanted $1,200 Aussie, and I said, well, yeah, just offer him, a bit less, like under 1,000, like 900 or something like that. But and I gave him a list of things to check. So off he went. And he went and had a look at it, and he was fairly happy with what it was. And the reality was it had a few scratches and marks on it, but it's not an expensive bike. It had Ultegra on it, so it was fairly decent bike, or was in its day. And after inspecting it, he negotiated with the guy, and he got it for $700 US, which is about $1,000 Aussie. Now, when I got it home and had a look at it, there was a few little things. Obviously, with anything second, there's always a few little things you need to fix up. And one of the things was it had Shimano pedals on it, and we generally use look pedals, so it's got cleats and shoes with look cleats on. And we also found that the back brake was sticking, that you'd put it in and it wouldn't return properly. So I had to get a bit of oil in there and work it and open shut it. And eventually we got all that happening and working pretty well. But the brakes are really a lower price brake than what comes with Shimano Ultegra, and they're a bit stiff. So I said to my son, look, get yourself some 105 or Ultegra brakes, and it'll ride a lot nicer. It will brake and stop a lot nicer. And I said, look, 105 usually around about $50-$60 Aussie. But he decided he wanted to get some Ultegra brakes, so he's got them on order now. And when we get them, we'll whack them on the bike. And the other thing is he wants to get some new pedals for it. So when he gets that stuff on it, it'll be a pretty decent bike. And I just took it for a ride around the block, and it's for what he paid and what he got, really nice riding bike. It rides really nice. It's a little bit heavy, but apart from that, all the gears change really well, and it's comfy to ride. I think it just about fits me, even though he's a lot taller than I am. I think he may need to get a bit of an adjustment to get it to fit him right. But pretty decent bike for what he paid for. And the great thing is that it suits what he wants. He wants something that's durable. He doesn't need to fuss over and go, this is my pride and joy. It's just a bike I can jump on and ride. I can chuck in the back of the car if I want to go and do something. I want to take it down south, take it on holidays with me. I don't need to worry about chucking the back of the car, piling things on it, and I'm going to damage it. Well, this really shows what you can pick up second hand. Now, it's not a new bike and it's got a few scratches on it, but for $700 US, okay, you might have to spend a little bit more money, maybe say under $1,000 US by the time he gets everything sorted on it and gets it serviced and gets the new brakes on it. Pretty good, decent bike, and a pretty decent brand as well. So it just goes to show when you're looking second hand, you can pick up some really good stuff. And I must admit, I don't know if I will buy my next bike, whatever that will be. I don't know if I'm going to buy a new bike. First of all, I don't really like a lot of the designs on the new bikes. I think that the bike industry hasn't got a lot of the things sorted on new bikes, especially the integrated systems, and it seems to be that they're now putting them on the medium price to the upper price bikes, and I just don't like that whole concept, and I'm not a big fan of disc brakes. Even if I had disc brakes, I wouldn't want to have that integrated system. I could probably talk myself into disc brakes, but I just don't think that the integrated systems are mature enough yet for me to really buy into that technology. But for all those people out there who really haven't got, the stupid money that we have to pay now for these new bikes. I mean, even a medium bike is, $6,000-7,000 US, and the top end bikes, to get them down to the weight limit, you have to pay like $10,000 US or more. It's really expensive for a lot of people, and a lot of people just haven't got that sort of money. So when you look at something secondhand, you can get yourself a pretty decent bike. And as I said, my son got one for $700 US. I mean, there is a few marks and scratches on it, but they're really just superficial marks. The bike rides beautiful. Well, anyway, guys, just something to keep in mind. If you haven't got the money, you can buy yourself a second-hand bike, and you can fix it up, and you can have a beautiful riding bike. And the reality is, they ride almost as good as the expensive ones. Well, anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next vid. Cheers.